come from a long line of drag queens.
Oh.
No, I'm just joking. My father was a drag queen. No, I'm just kidding.
Mother was Joan Rivers.
Mother was Joanne Malinsky Rivers. No, I don't really have any performers in my family. To be honest, I have a cousin who performs, but I'm the black sheep, so to speak, of as far as like being a little bit out there and performing goes. But I started doing drag because I started doing stand-up comedy in the city, and I was like, oh, what if you get remembered at the clubs? So when I go back, they'll know my name. So I was like, well, I picked my drag name, which was Kitten with a Whip at the time. I now refer to that as my slave name because I don't go by it anymore. I've been emancipated. I went by Kitten with a Whip, and I was this big 6 foot whatever drag queen, walking around in heels with a whip around my shoulder. I still have the whip there. Actually, I used to carry it all the time. And yeah, that was my whole shtick, my whole thing.
When was that?
Oh, 2008, 2009, one of those two. Probably 2009. There's a YouTube clip of my first performance out there somewhere, and it has like the date of my first performance. And it was like that was my first time. And my first performance ever was me doing stand up at at New York Comedy Club. So yeah, I started doing drag as a stand up comedian. I think that honestly, I didn't really get any of my stand up training from the stand up world. I mean, I did stand up for I don't know. I did stand up circuit for like 8 months. And then I was like, well, you guys pay shit. I'm not going to fucking do this anymore. They'll you'll bring like 30 people. And bringing 30 people to a comedy club is not like bringing 30 people to a bar. Because you go to a bar, like, you don't have to drink if you don't want to, girl. Just sit your ass down. Yeah, the comedy clubs pay crap because they're like kind of relying on people who are desperate for stage time. And at the time I was, and then it came to a point where I wasn't desperate anymore. Like in the comedy world, if you get on stage for like 30 minutes a week, you are like working. That's like working. Then I started doing drag, which is, I still do. I incorporate a lot of my stand up in my show. And I was getting like, I don't know. Right now I'm logging over 8 hours a week on stage. And it's just me, and it's like just me by myself, like doing my thing. So, and there are a couple times where I try to go back to stand-up comedy because I was like, I just really love it, and but I think it's something I'm gonna have to do on my own terms because stand-up comedy, they really try to fucking. It's a very New York mentality, where they'll get as much as they can for free, and once they realize they can't give it to you for free, they'll try to give it to you for cheap. You know what I mean? And then as soon as they realize they can't get it for cheap, they're like, well, we should just part ways now because you're under our games. I'm like, yeah, bitch, I fucking caught wise to your shit. So yeah, I don't really do comedy clubs anymore. Well, I do drag and I do stand up at all my shows. I feel like when you're at a stand up venue, you tend to be appreciated a little bit more by the audiences. I've learned this doing drag too. You really appreciate about who pays for you. In New York City, the shows are free, so the audience doesn't pay for them. But the bar is paying. So the bar really appreciates you because they're the ones paying for you. I did a show in Philly where the bar doesn't pay you. You make money out the door. And the audience pays. And like they were the most attentive audience I had in a long time. Because they all paid and we all had every intention of being there for the sole purpose of seeing the show. In New York City, sometimes a show just happens to you. It's like, oh, a show happened to me. I was trying to enjoy my night out with my friends and then a drag show happened to me. And I'm like, well, how lucky are you that a drag show happened to you? You know what I mean? But they're just like, I just wanted to have martinis, and then this drag queen started harassing us. Which I'm not really much of a harassy kind of drag queen. But luckily for me, I feel like most of my shows today are the shows that people like come to because they want to see me. The kid I saw Tuong Fu, which is like one of my favorite movies growing up. And then I saw RuPaul's Drag Race. And then I would go out to bars and I'd see queens there. So between seeing it on TV and then I got into movies like Girls Will Be Girls, and just seeing all these what I thought was funny people like doing drag, which is like it might be like an elevated state of performance, really, because you get a chance to really be more than one thing. Like you're the director, you're the costume designer, you're the wig and makeup person, you are the promoter. You learn to do, graphic design because you can't afford to pay a graphic designer to make you a this and a that. You really learn to.
It doesn't ever become too much for you?
Oh yeah, sometimes, but I really enjoy it. So, there are times when I've spread myself a little thin. I work a lot. I work 5 days a week, and I usually do about 6 or 7 shows within those 5 days. So yeah, I do work a lot, and sometimes it is too much. But yesterday was a rally at the park across the street from Stonewall. What's the name of that goddamn park? Christopher Park. I would call it the park with the rats and the pigeons and the tacky statues. Those are some tacky goddamn statues, aren't they? They're the ugliest really fucking things. And that's why no one goes in the goddamn park, because those hideous fucking statues. Anyway, so Boots and Saddles is trying to relocate because, well, they have to relocate. They're not trying; they have to relocate because the owner of the building is jacking up the rent. Probably because he wants to move in some corporate place that's probably going to build Starbucks right around the corner from another fucking Starbucks, and then open up a Chase Bank inside of it, and then build a Dwayne Reed in the basement, and then make an H&M in the bathroom. I don't fucking know, because those people will pay anything, and they can afford to pay anything to ruin neighborhoods. So Boots and Saddles was stricken down twice at the community board meeting because they were like, we don't want that kind of thing in our neighborhood. And then people didn't. Meanwhile, Boots and Saddles have been in the neighborhood for 40 years. It's a very, very long time. Over 40 years. And the reasoning that they gave for not wanting Boots and Saddles to move to the street corner that they were choosing, because they were like, what if kids see drag queens? Then what happens? And I was like, what do you mean what fucking happens? What kind of stupid thing is that to say? As I swear up and down. But also find it interesting that we don't want our kids to hear swear words. You can't say fuck on TV, but you can see a man get murdered on CSI, stabbed to death. But you can't say fuck, and you don't want to see drag queens in the corner. But I'll buy my kid. No, I don't want you saying drag queen. Now let's go buy Grand Theft Auto, and shoot hookers in the goddamn streets of Miami on this video game. But you certainly don't need to look at drag queens, because that's crazy. So I'm like, girl. And what it really boiled down to was people hiding behind their children, using their children as an excuse for whatever their bigotry was, or their fear was, or their. One guy said, I can't think of anything less fitting for our enclave, I don't even know, whatever, than a drag bar. And I was like, you can't think of anything, literally, you can't think of one thing. Not in the whole world. Can you think of one thing less fitting for your enclave than Boots and Saddles? Okay. So yeah, that's what that whole thing was about. I was in Times Square recently, and I was like, you ever looked at side-by-side picture of Times Square then and now? Mm-hmm. When I moved here, there was at least still one original, Times Square business, and it was the Roxy Delicatessen. And I went to Times Square the other night, I looked up and I was like, oh, at least the Roxy Delicatessen is still here. It has a little iconic R with the lights around it. And then I got closer and I was like, this is a Radio Shack. There is nothing in Times Square that you can't find in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, or Andalusia, Alabama. Everything in Times Square, and people travel from around the world just to see Forever 21 in Times Square. They're like, I have to see. And they get up there oh, it's Mickey Mouse, and there's a Forever 21. Oh, is that a H&M? Wait, what is that? Is that a Radio Shack? Is it McDonald's? Or Ruby Tuesday? Olive Garden? Culture. I'm so glad I came to New York City so I could see the world's most overpriced, McDonald's, where the dollar menu is a $1.50 menu or whatever. Which, when you think about it, that's still a 50% increase, but price. But yeah. So I think that's the same thing, and I think that the term gentrification is typically a word used to describe what happens in black neighborhoods. You know what I mean? But I think the word is fitting in this scenario, when you push out a majority to make room for heteronormative groups. Yeah. My drag kind of not started with activism, but like my early drag was a lot about activism. We used to do these protests in Times Square called Drag Queen Weddings for Equality. Me and my friends Frosty Flakes and Azrea all started this thing called Drag Queen Weddings for Equality, where we go out to Times Square every Saturday in full drag, in like wedding dresses and like tuxedos and like a bishop, and we do these little mock wedding ceremonies, and we'd pass out information on the inequalities in against gays in America. Like a lot of people didn't know and still don't know that as of today, gay guys still can't give blood, which is hilarious and ridiculous because of the blood shortage we're experiencing right now. So yeah, I guess I'm political. Yeah, I've always had a thick skin. Maybe growing up as like a fat, effeminate black kid, and not just black, but like really black, like I always say like some people are like, like Cosby black, but I'm more like 12 years a slave black. Or like I'm like black. It's really fun. Like growing up, like all the other kids would like make fun of me, but white kids never made fun of me. Like only black kids. They'd be like, "Yo, black, blackie," or they call me all these things. So growing up, I did not have the thickest skin, but it just got thicker and thicker over time. Yeah, I think it's really important for performers to influence people. I think it's like really really important actually for performers to get political every once in a while. But also, I mean, I do a lot of stuff that isn't political, and I also do a lot of stuff that's really kind of not okay. Like I say really offensive things on stage, or I'll it's really funny. I had a job where our job was go around and harass people at the restaurant, and the manager told me, he goes, just so you know, you can say and do anything you want, but it has to be funny. If it's not funny, it's offensive. The moment it's not funny, it becomes offensive. So it has the moment. That's why Joan Rivers can get away with saying what she wants to say, or that's why you probably didn't even know he said it because no one made a deal about it. But the comedian Louis C.K. He has a whole bit where he he talks about the word nigger. He has his whole bit about it, but it's not offensive, so no one cares. It's just not offensive. But when the guy from Kramer, or not, when Kramer from Seinfeld said it, it was, I mean, it was like Pompeii revisited. It was like a disaster. So as long as you're funny, you can get away with whatever you want to get away with. I'm just really intrigued by drag and a lot of older queens. I love queens like Jackie Beat. Obviously, I have a huge picture of her in my home. I love queens like Sherry Vine, Hedda Lettuce, Laurel Jean Merman, and of course the history of queens who started the Stonewall riots and queens who were here before the riots even happened and started. In the history of men dressing as women as an art form, be it for theater or for burlesque or for, a lot of times back in the day, those bearded women were just men. Those traveling like freak shows, they're just men. If you look back, you'll notice that a lot of the bearded women were really large and heavy set. It was just guys like pushing their, boobs up and then stuffing the bottom. It looks like they had titties, and it was like, oh yeah, just so. There's something really intriguing about There's something this is gonna sound funny. There's something intriguing about how intriguing drag is. Like people are like look at you guys. You're here like drag. Everyone wants to take pictures of drag. Can I follow you around for a day? Can I just follow you? And I'm like, no one does this to other. No one's following clowns around. Though I love clowns. I'm actually kind of obsessed with clowns. I would follow clowns around. But no one's like following teachers around. No one's following, big drag queens. Everyone. And it's one thing. You don't even have to be famous if people want to follow you around. I'm from Atlanta, but I never did drag. I started doing drag here. Like Bob the drag queen is a New Yorker. Caldwell is from Georgia, but Bob the drag queen is a product of New York City. I did drag in Atlanta one time, and my mother is very accepting of me and my all my nuttiness. My mom thinks I'm hilarious. She thinks I dress a little bit slutty sometimes. She doesn't understand why my skirts have to be so short, or why I have to curse so much. But she's like, but you're grown. You do what you want to do. She thinks I'm very funny. I did have one of my cousins one time write me on Facebook when I first started drag. She was like, what is this? And I was like, it's me in drag. And she was like, well, that's not okay. And I was like, well, bitch, you think I want fucking advice from you? You're 18 with 3 kids. And you think I want advice from you, bitch? Like, for real? Then again, that's when you realize, like, oh, you're stupid. I should have stopped talking to you a long time ago. But you're my cousin, so I have to talk to you every once in a while. But then you start saying stupid shit, I have to be like, ugh. Some people are just like, when you say, when you do something like, you know, like when someone says something like, gay men have to be masculine. If I wanted to date a girl, I'd be straight. I'm like, you've already put up a wall. You've already put up this big wall that is not allowing any type of actual information in. You know what I mean? You're already entering the scenario like, oh, you know, I have my opinions and I can't be swayed, and this is what this is. So people like that, I don't say anything to them. But if I'm like a debate forum, I'll be like, you know what? It's funny when people say you have to be yourself. Everyone says you have to be natural. It's kind of like when people tell women, you know, you look better with no makeup. Just be more natural. I'm like, would you tell like a Native American who wears like their tribal markings, just be natural without that stuff? No, because it's part of their markings. You feel like a warrior with it on. So if a woman feels amazing with makeup, let her wear fucking makeup and leave the house. And if I feel good with makeup and my nail polish, then leave me the fuck alone. Let me wear my nail polish. It's not your nails. I've never in my whole life held anyone down and painted their nails or put makeup on them. Ever. Not once. I've only ever done it to myself and people who wanted it. So gay boys love drag queens. Like, love drag queens. The only person who loves drag queens more than gay boys is like teenage girls. And they just don't have as much access to drag queens as adult gay men do. But drag queens aren't really but once you like get past the idea of drag queen being like this interesting persona that you see in the clubs who's just huge and has drink tickets and is funny and is shiny, they don't even see drag queens as people. So if someone finds out you're dating a drag, like, you're dating a drag queen, or I could never date a drag queen, because people don't even know what, even gay boys don't even know what drag queens are sometimes. They're like, oh, because maybe they want to be ladies, or does she want to be a woman, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be a woman, but that's not exclusive to all drag queens. If I do want to be a woman, what is it any of your business? Because femininity is looked down upon in the world. I was gonna say America, but the world, the whole world, femininity is looked down on. Who are the most celebrated women in the world? Butch women, and even if they're not butch physically, they're butch mentally. Like, single ladies who run the world, girls, woman power, big strong woman, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, Suze Orman, all these fucking butch lesbian looking bitches. They are like revered as these big, strong, smart, powerful women. You know why? Because they damn near look like men or act like men or have masculine qualities about them. So masculinity is revered and femininity is like boo on you. And so when you purposely choose to put your masculinity on the back burner and embrace extreme femininity for a night, then you're fucking with people's brains. No, the stage name thing, yeah, they're coming up with all stage performers. And right now, it seems like it's really only getting burlesquers and drag queens. And it's really obnoxious. And I understand why they're doing it, because they want to get money off of you. They feel like you're getting free advertisement, and you are, and I am kind of technically getting free advertisement, but the amount of traffic I'm generating to Facebook. I mean, am I huge on Facebook? No, but I have reached a friend limit, and I have like about 1,000 people who follow me. So my reach is about 6,000 people. So if I post a status update or a picture, potentially 6,000 people will see it. But they want you to get a like page instead. On a like page, your numbers drop drastically. Like, you have to pay to get to 6,000 people. Like, a lot of money. Which is why Lady Gaga gets to be Lady Gaga, because she has a like page and she can afford to pay that kind of money. So I just switched my name over to Christopher Caldwell, which is upsetting because I don't even go by Christopher Caldwell in my day-to-day life. I go by Caldwell. I go by my last name, so. I don't know. I want to stop using Facebook, but I need Facebook to promote my events. Otherwise, people won't know where I am, because you think it's hard to get people to go to bobthedragqueen.com when they can just go on Facebook and type my name because it's on their phone, and it's just I wish I didn't use Facebook. Now I'm starting to really regret that I ever started using Facebook, and I can't wait for someone to come in MySpace the fuck out of them so they can know what it feels like to to have that done to them. They did a number on MySpace, girl. Part of MySpace. It's just Justin Timberlake and a couple other musicians over there. No, I'm not Miss Fire Island. This is very misleading. It's very misleading. I was Miss Fire Island. I was most popular on Miss Fire Island. I know. That's why I don't like the award, because it makes it look like I won and I didn't win. I was most popular in the entertainment category, which means I took second place. And then I got like an award last year, like a sponsored award. These are all crowns that I've either won or my friends and I have won. I'll show you some of the ones that I have up here. Ooh. This is something called a Slammy. A Slammy is an award show that I started in New York City where you win awards for the worst in New York City nightlife. I won a Slammy. I won 2 Slammys. This one is for Best Meltdown. I got this for crying in the Ritz after a show one day. I don't even remember what that was for. These are crowns that me and my friends won for this really popular pageant that doesn't exist anymore called Our Lady of Saliva. These are from Miss Fire Island. This is second place. This is third place. And who hangs the second place trophy? Someone with no dignity. That's who hangs the second place trophy. Who's like, I wasn't good enough. Yay! This is a crown that I purchased to do a pageant, and then I ended up not doing the pageant, so it just lives on the shelf as if I won it. This is a scepter I bought for my niece, and I haven't mailed it off yet because I was a procrastinator. This is a crown that my roommate won for Miss Veggie prom. Oh, and this is my favorite trophies right here. This is like my prize trophies. These are from when I was me and my roommate and my friend Frosty Flakes were arrested in Bryant Park for activism. That's how one of my earliest drag things. We got arrested. We got locked up, and I snuck a bagel in under my wig, and I had almonds in my titties, and my roommate had Cliff Bars on his hips, and we were, by the way, we were in and out of jail in like 30 minutes. Like 30 minutes. They were like, bye. And we're like,
we were there long enough to sing the Cell Block Tango.
True. 6 of us sang Cell Block Tango in jail. Because I'm a boss ass bitch. I'm gonna grab my lashes real quick. Sunday night. Sunday's my start of my work week. I work at the Monster every Sunday night for a show called Look Queen. Every Monday night I work at Barracuda. I do the Bob Show. Every Tuesday I work at Industry. That show is always changing. It was me and Bianca for a while. Now it's me and Paige Turner. Who knows what it'll be next week. Every Wednesday I work with Pixie Aventura at Therapy. Every Thursday at 8:30 I'm at Boots and Saddle. And then depending on the Thursday I either go to Industry for Queen or to Therapy for Testosterone. And then I'm usually off on Fridays and Saturdays. But every once in a while I have a gig. Like I was at the opening of this bar called Love Gun in Brooklyn. It was too much, girl. Like I walked in, it was like sweltering. I was like, ugh. Like as I walked in, I was like, this is just too much. And then like Anderson Cooper is sitting down there, and like what's that guy's name? The guy from Bravo, Andy Cohen sitting there, and Kelly Ripa, who was like this tall, is sitting there. She's like, come here. And I was like, I will never. I was like, you come here. And she was like, I would never. And I was like, well, I'll wave at you for here, girl. We just waved across the room. So yeah, I'm usually off on Friday and Saturday unless someone wants me to do something. Well, each show is a little different. Look Queen is always like a more extreme look. For example, last night I was really inspired by Chantel Brown. Also, I don't know her stage name, Harlow, something like that. And Winnie Harlow is her model name. And she has vitiligo. So I just did like a look, like inspired by vitiligo. So it looked like I had vitiligo all night long. But that party is always about like doing like an interesting look or an extreme look. But there's like this look. I guess you guys can also, I can just like send you these so you can like put them on screen or something like that. So they always do interesting looks. But the other gigs, I usually do a pretty standard look. 'Cause I've learned that it's kind of hard for people to connect with you when you look really crazy. Like when you look really crazy. Like I learned that one time I did a show dressed as Gene Simmons from Kiss, and people just could not connect to me. They were like, "What are you like? What?" And I was like, I mean, I'm telling the same jokes, but somehow it wasn't funny when Gene Simmons told the jokes. It was only funny when Bob the Drag Queen told the jokes. So I keep it pretty standard at my other shows, and plus, it's just easier to not always be like, no, what am I gonna do today? Like a big, this side of my head's gonna be blue, and then I'm just gonna do like my lips like melting off my face, and then just like lashes on my nose. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. After a while, you just start stretching, and it's like, girl, this was not inspired. Yeah, oh yeah, every single bar it has its own personality. You have to really know how to work it. Every night has its own personality. Monday nights are like one of my favorites. People show up because they want to see me. They are there because they're there because Bob the Drag Queen does a show, and they want to see Bob the Drag Queen. They show up, they face the stage, they shut up most of the time unless they're drunk, and they're there for me. Sometimes at other bars, some of my bars I work at, a drag show happens to people. They're like, oh, well, I guess a drag show is happening. I'm like, you should be so lucky, goddammit, that I'm up here performing for you. What are you gonna do one day when I'm famous and you realize you didn't even pay attention to me?
As a performer, what's your biggest fear?
Not working. I don't know. Yeah, probably just not working at all.
You have days where you don't want to do it?
Yeah, I'd have days that I don't want to do it. Just put the lash on the wrong eye. Yeah, I have days that I don't want to do it. Sometimes I don't know I don't want to do it until I get on stage, and I'm like, oh, one of you crowds. You really gonna sit at the foot of the stage with your back to me, bitch? Like with your back to me at the foot of the stage, girl? Alright. We're gonna be best friends all fucking show, I can already tell. But I get through it and I still smile. I don't mind small crowds. Some people really hate small crowds. I don't mind a small crowd. I love it. It's not that I don't prefer a small crowd, but I don't see a small crowd and get disappointed. Some queens are like, oh no, no one's here. I'm like, oh, I love a small crowd. Let's talk. Let's hang out. Let's chat,